Welcome to Night Talks, the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications talk show, produced by students for students. I'm Anna Bernstein, a junior studying business and public relations, and our guest today is Latria Graham, who conjured up brand building strategy and community outreach for the Orlando Magic. She is now president and CEO for GLB Media Group, a strategic communications and promotional product consulting firm. Hi, Latria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. Now, could you tell us a little bit about GLB and what you do for your clients?
Yes, so GLB is a small business that I founded. We're based in Orlando, Florida. However, we service clients all over the world, and we essentially help our clients build positive brand reputation through authentic marketing services and innovative products. We got started about 5 years ago. We specialize in building brand strategy for our clients, and every client is different, so we make sure that we build those platforms custom to their needs. So I always say all my clients have a problem that I need to help them solve. So a lot of it stems from PR, doing cause marketing campaigns, the promotional product piece, which is actually an advertising specialty. We use those to create experiences in our clients' customers' hands, and in sports, of course, a lot of those items create a lot of fan engagement. So we help them think about that and go deep into how they create experiences for their customers, fans, and how they create that real, true, authentic engagement.
So with that engagement, have you been able to create any really out of this world unique activations for your customers?
Oh, yeah. Where do I start? So one of the biggest funds that I had a lot of fun working with Tobias Harris. So he is one of our clients who plays with the Philadelphia 76ers. And we launched a campaign. Well, first, to take it back a step, Tobias was really strong about helping young people in school. So his first thought was, hey, I want to start a school so that we can, build equitable education for kids in underserved areas. Well, as we had an opportunity to unpack that with Tobias, one of the things that we discovered in our research in the area is that it wasn't so much that kids didn't have a school to attend. A lot of problems stem from not having quality teachers in the classroom. So what type of education that they had, what professional development opportunities they were getting to adapt to kids in that area. So we really spent some time unpacking that and learning that by the time a child reaches third grade, if they don't learn to read, they're going to be behind every step of the way.
Oh, wow.
And so we created a campaign called Tobias Lit Labs and Tobias Top Teachers to help, number one, recruit and retain and fund professional development for teachers in underserved areas. We also, with the Lit Labs, we created an environment where he used his brand awareness to get kids excited about reading. So he would go and participate in read-alongs with children. And we've building a platform now where kids can get social with us. Since the pandemic, we don't have a lot of opportunity to engage with a lot of the rules that come out of the league and just stipulations within the school district. But distributed $1 million every year. So it created impact from a financial standpoint in communities. He was investing his time in the community, and we were seeing things change. Children's reading scores were improving, so their reading efficiency, teachers were getting the professional development that were cut from budgets within the system. So it was really, really it was a lot of moving pieces to put it together, but that's where I believe one of my strongest skills is to build partnerships and bring people together for the greater good.
It's just so incredible that you were able to give back to the community while also having this focus on building brand recognition and engagement. What inspired your focus on cause-driven marketing?
When I was with the Magic, so I worked with them for 11 seasons, I started in the community relations department, and I saw the impact that we could make out in the community just for showing up and creating an experience. And to me, that was, heartwarming for me, but I wanted to drive a little deeper. As I got older and became an expert in my field, I wanted to go beyond the smile and beyond the logos and beyond the press release. How do we really drive change? And one of the gaps that I noticed within the athlete market was these guys had all of these marketing agencies, which were huge, that are out in the market now, who focuses a lot on endorsements and contracts. But I felt that from a philanthropy standpoint and causes, there was not a lot of sophistication built around that or attention to be placed strategically in that area. So, I would be out with athletes and I would ask, okay, you're at the Boys and Girls Club, you invested, you just wrote a $10,000 check, but what have you actually changed in the community? And so I think that any investor or any philanthropist need to be able to answer that question. So as we look at headlines as the way they are now, we can't look at it for, so-and-so gave $2 million out in the community. Thank you for the financial contribution, but what are you changing with that? And how can I help you build metrics and measurables to around that so you can answer that question and you can make real change?
Yeah, I think it's so hard for people to really understand the concept that, yeah, I donated all of this money, but where is it going? What are we doing with it? And it's so fantastic that you were able to do that with these players. Have you been able to do certain campaigns with more than just sports players? I know you also had some time at BET, so I didn't know if you did anything in the entertainment side too.
So we service pro athletes, sports entities, corporations, and universities. So with BET specifically, I was there gathering footage to help write news briefs on their BET online platform. And at the time, BET Nightly News, where Jackie Reed was their host, I would have to go out and collect stories about what was going on in the nation at that time. And it was pretty cool because it was a nationwide audience that for the first time I, had done a lot of local work. And on the online side, it was just a lot of fun events that were happening in DC. And one of them was a celebrity basketball game. And it was the first time I had an opportunity to really interview a celebrity, and it was Vivica Fox. It was so much fun, and I was able to connect with her and put together those packages and create some excitement online with the online community. But that was a very fun time. And actually, the reason why I got that opportunity is the vice president of content actually came to the University of Florida when I was here as part of a panel. And there were so many people waiting to meet with her. And I stayed to talk to her. And she actually, I followed up and she gave me the job. And she said, you were the only student out of hundreds of students that waited to talk to me about their career that actually followed up and followed through. So that opportunity came out of my relationship with the school and just being here as a university student.
Now, I know while you were here, you also participated in a lot of the immersion experiences that we have. Did those experiences also lead to the BET experience and interaction? Were there anything that you got out of these experiences that helped with that?
So I did a lot with Gator Vision and the Gator Zone Sports Show, where I had the opportunity to go in and create packages and video packages, write my own stories, one-man band type thing. Also, it taught me a lot of grit. So in this industry, I know that we have seen that, or there are sayings that people want success fast. And for me, that experience taught me how to do the grit and grind work behind the scenes. So I was in there logging women's basketball games, play-by-play for footage, tracking, which continued to build up in other opportunities that I had to create these packages and be on air while still being in college. Also, I was part of the noon school forecast, the noonday. You have to be able to communicate in all areas. So that doesn't have to just transpire or transform across camera, but how do you communicate and collaborate in different groups? And so getting that experience of immersion, it teaches you so much beyond the actual skill set. It teaches you collaboration, partnership, relationships, because people in the future want to do business with people they like. So I learned a lot here.
We currently have a 5 o'clock news broadcast, and that is an all-day production, so I can only imagine how early you must have had to get here for the noon show.
Oh, yeah. It was quite a production, and it was a lot of work. But we understood that in this industry, and a lot of our professors and advisors around us just told us that that's part of the job, and that grit work, the grind that nobody sees, is what has made me the most successful.
Definitely. Was there anything in particular that you participated in here that helped you kind of determine this was the career path that you wanted to pursue, or did you have a different experience that really made that light bulb click that this is how I'm going to pursue this is the career I want, and these are the immersion experiences I'm going to partake in?
Yeah, I was a pretty planned person. So I knew in high school that I wanted to do sports journalism, that I wanted to be a news reporter. So I actually was on my high school news. It was part of our class, Media 101 at Raines High School in Jacksonville. But what I did was I created my own segment for sports reporting. So I was Tria G with your sports report. So some people in Jacksonville still know me as Tria G. But we had very high profile sports program at Raines High School. Matter of fact, Lito Shepherd and Jabbar Gaffney, who both played football here, were in school at my high school at the time. So I would always be reporting out on their championship games and just a lot of stuff that we were doing in the sports sector. But I knew that I wanted to be in sports journalism. When I came to Florida and was recruited here, in the program at that time, there wasn't really a track specifically for sports. So there was just news and production. So I did the news track. And through Gator Zone and Gator Vision, I actually sought out other opportunities to get exposed in sports. Whereas now it's great because sports is integrated into the track. So I had a little harder, but I found my way and got it done. I will say too that I did minor in sports management, and in that sports management program, I did discover more of the business side of sports, which I, as a young girl, was not exposed to. So in watching sports growing up, all I saw was the players on the court or the field, the sports reporter, and the coaches. So I'm like, okay, sports reporter. Didn't know that it was like 300 people managing a sports business operation. So that realization and learning more about that as in a minor STEM, from a minor perspective, was really fascinating to me. That showed me that I had a diverse space to work across in sports communications as a whole.
Right, and I'm sure getting that new perspective also probably helped you when you were trying to form GLB Media, because you had a little bit of that background in the business aspect of it too.
Oh yeah, because out of college, I had two choices. So I got an offer to go to ESPN to be an intern I think it was a research intern that was open. It was going to get my foot in the door. And then I got an offer from the Orlando Magic to work as a community relations intern. It was, obviously, if your career and passion is in sports journalism, ESPN is like automatically like, I'm going there. But I was thinking Bristol, Connecticut, Orlando, Florida, snow, sunny, yeah. I'm going to go try out the Orlando Magic. And you know what? I'm going to make that experience the experience that I would want it to be and find my way and fit within it, which worked out perfectly and parlayed to where I am today.
So how did working at BET help you with the journey of deciding between ESPN and the Orlando Magic? Did that experience help you lean one way or another?
I think it helped me experience diverse pieces of communication. So at BET, it was a lot of writing, so online news briefs, and then there's video production for the online piece of it. And so I got a chance to see that. And then with the Magic and community relations, there was this unique sense of being able to write for communications, because I did start a blog, but it was the engagement piece and the connection that really just set well with me. And so to be able to go and connect with people, that was just part of who I was and what I did. And I was already doing a lot of community service out in the community. It was part of who I was. I shifted a little bit more to this community relations. Now, I will say, as we look at the climate now, there's been this integration of the marketing, communications, and community engagement, which really you have to be able to package together as you go into the workforce. You kind of got to be a little diverse in all the areas. So I feel like with all of those experiences, have been able to accumulate this well-rounded approach to strategy, brand strategy as a whole. So it's definitely been a journey.
How did you get your start and your foot in the door with the Orlando Magic? Were your skill sets kind of helpful with that?
Well, it really was a 3-day process. I applied, interviewed, and then they called me. So, but it was really quick. I think the manager at the time, Deborah Rios Barnes, was just blown away, like, with all the experience and all the work that I had done prior to, as a college student. So I didn't waste time in the summers. I was doing internships in the fall and spring semester. I was working, building my resume. So, I came in with a lot of knowledge and being able to support the team that was there right away. I started as an intern and I sort of worked my way up. So in community relations, and then transition after my internship was over into the corporate office to work for Pat Williams, who's the founder of the team. He's still my mentor to this day, to do PR work for him. So, and then transition back over to community relations when the opportunity came, and worked my way up to oversee the department and grew it into something bigger with a lot of different players involved. So I think working for a team equips you for anything, because there's a lot of work. I don't think people see the sexiness of it. Oh, I'm here at the game, I'm courtside. You see all the selfies out there, right, that our sports professionals put online, but it's a lot of work behind the scenes. And I learned so much, and I was able to build platforms within the team that, as I launched to start my own business, it was a no-brainer. I could build anything. So this is just a blessing, and I'm very grateful to be here to be able to do it.
That's one of the fastest processes I've heard on getting hired. 3 days is incredible.
It was 3 days, literally.
Those 3 days shaped your next 10 years of your career.
Yeah.
So you were with the Orlando Magic for a really long time.
Yes, I was.
What kind of projects were you able to coordinate while you were there?
We were able to work on quite a few projects, but our focus areas were really focused in education, the arts, health and wellness. And one of the things that I really wanted to do as we grew as a team, we had just moved in a new arena. A lot of the programs and initiatives that we were doing were the same since the creation of the team. So, you know me, I'm a little innovative, so I had to switch it up a little bit. But one of our big projects was of creating the Magic Fit program. We were getting a lot of statistics out there on obesity in childhood and the fact that children, as video games emerge and they continue to emerge, Roblox, ask my 12-year-old daughter. Yeah, she can't stay off of it. We needed to find a way to get kids active and get them excited about moving. And so as we thought about the brand recognition and how people would get excited about the Magic coming around, as well as our players who are the product on the floor, how do we leverage their brand to get kids excited to do the right thing, to take care of their bodies? So we created the Magic Fit program, which we were able to, for the first time, I worked with our basketball operations department. At the time, the strength and conditioning coach was Bill Burgos. And so we built this program where the kids had to go through these exercises and they were able to track points and minutes for their fitness levels. And then we would have fit parties at schools. And then we created our first ever Magic Fit draft combine. So it was putting the kids in the place of the players. For when a player is getting ready to be drafted, they have to go through these strenuous tests to be drafted. So it was so much fun and I think for kids too, because a lot of kids, they look at the athletes being on the court and like they're playing, this is fun, this is exciting, but what they do on the back end in nutrition and strength and conditioning training, once they get a taste of it, they're like, oh no, I don't think I can do that. I don't want to be a part of this. So we were able to build that experience. Of course, it was kid friendly, and it was one of the league's best practices in a sense where I had to go in and talk to all the other teams during our league meetings to talk about how we were able to do that.
That's like such a great way to get kids moving. I could never have thought of something like that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were excited. And, I think the integration of players, I always tell my athlete clients, I may say something that is just right, and I have facts and evidence to back it, but no one's going to listen to me because guess what? I'm not that superstar out there. But if my client says it, it's like, wow, you're right. And then I've had some parents like, since he said that to them, he's, doing everything right. He's changed habits. And so it's amazing when they use their platforms well, it really does make impact in children. So it's been fun.
And you've been able to help them create that impact. Now with that, you also received the NBA Best in Class Recognition Award. How validating was that for you?
It was very validating because I think, at times when you get in certain environments and organizations, you really want to understand the culture within those organizations, but you also want to stay innovative and fresh. And so that was one of the things that my team at the time was able to do in creating innovative platforms that was going to turn some, heads and catch some eyes. And so we created the Magic of Mentoring program, which was a program that specialized in helping Black male students in professional development. The other part of that was, as a kid, as I communicated earlier, I was not exposed to the business side of sports. I had no idea that it existed. And so we created the Magic of Mentoring program to have this opportunity where We will have a summit where they'll come and learn different things about professional development and talk to other males about the challenges that might be going on in their lives, but also learn about careers in sports. So at the time, there was this what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a basketball player. I want to be an NFL player. And I really wanted the opportunity to create something that was going to expose them to, hey, at a sports franchise, there is a entire finance team. So if you do want to be a sports agent, you can go in and work with finance. Or if you do want to go into legal, we do have a general counsel or a legal team that specializes in those areas. We do have a business strategy team, a full marketing team, PR, like all of that stuff I did not know existed because I wasn't exposed to it as a young child. And although I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and I remember the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm a fan. Of course, they always say, like, you got to be from Jacksonville. But yes, I am from Jacksonville, and I represent them well. But I remember the mascot coming to our school, and we were just so excited about it. But I never had an opportunity to go behind closed doors in those offices and be exposed to the different careers within that industry. So we didn't get a chance to go behind the scenes. And so with the summit, the Magic of Mentoring program, we brought in a group of Black males to come in to learn about what we were doing to expose them to a different environment, as well as let them hear from other leaders in the field. So it was really, really validating for me.
Do you have any suggestions, tips, recommendations, or advice for students like myself who might be entering the workforce soon?
Well, I'm going to go back to that quote that my mentor gave me: learn everything about anything, and be flexible. Be flexible and adaptable in a sense where everything is changing. And I've never seen the innovation in every industry move as fast as it is now. So I think, as you have a plan together, just understand that you're going to take detours on that plan, and that it's okay to take those detours, because in those detours you discover yourself, and you discover what you may have not been privy to that you may like to do. So I would just say learn more about everything, work extremely hard, and be flexible in your thinking as well as your planning process.
Well, thank you so much for that advice and insight, Latria. I really enjoyed getting to hear all about your journey through college with BET and to your own company now at GLB. It's just been such a great time today. Well, thank you to our viewers for joining us, and until next time, good night.